Hello and welcome everybody to New Earth Consciousness. Tania here with Teresa Collins. She is a scientific mystic. I love that. She has a book out that's called Regulated to Receive. It's all about keeping the nervous system well regulated so we can be our best selves. And her website is blended-spirit.com. And so, Teresa, thank you so much for being here. I'm excited to dive in.
Me too, Tanya. Thanks for the connections. I love
Yeah.
how we just magically appear together.
Yeah, I have to say, just so the audience knows, it's a funny thing. Um, Teresa was just telling me, I thought we had this booked for the equinox, and I was like, yeah, and then it was like percolating in my brain. I was like, oh yeah, we had some kind of weird or me just honestly having a huge brain fart, and 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 anyway, I saw, oh, okay, we're doing an interview today. And turns out we're right at the beginning of the year of the fire horse. And so it all, either date would have
So
been
divine.
pretty right on. So yeah. So Teresa, I'd love for you to share with us your own personal journey. Um, you know, being a mystic. I I consider myself a mystic, and I guess let's start there. Like, how do you define a mystic?
So there's a little bit of mystery and a little bit of magic, a little bit of curious. I
Mhm.
love the word mystic. It's really fun too because it kind of opens up a whole bunch of different images for people. So it's like their own experiences and not all good either, right? Like some
Yeah.
people get a little like freaky. And it's definitely the woo-woo wonderful of me. And then we add the little bit of science where I tap into the biofields and the quantum and the hows to and the measurable. So for me, the balance has always been in my entire life, I've always been that balance.
Yeah.
I've always kind of like looked for the reasoning and the magic.
Yeah. And we're at a time now, definitely as a collective, where science and spirituality is coming together, and that's always been part of the divine plan since the beginning. And so here we are, like as we dive into quantum physics, we're finding like, oh yeah, the reality is quite mysterious, and who's creating it what. And so
Yeah.
and so yeah, super exciting, very really fascinating, and just noticing that a lot of people are waking up. So I'm curious for you, how did you experience, I guess maybe awakening to deeper truths for yourself?
Okay. So I was born with a psychic gift to see, but that actually terrified me. So I shut that down at a young age. Then I could feel spirit, and then I was raised in Catholic. So I was learned to fear that. So that I also shut down. Throughout my life, though, I always had a team of guides that was protecting me. Always knew when to leave, knew when to turn. Grew up kind of on the wrong side of the track. So I had I always say it was like an entire committee that tried to keep me safe. But it wasn't until there goes my throat. It wasn't until my kid got sick. So fast forward, I did the corporate. I did all that kind of like superhuman stuff. There was always something different, though. There was always something more.
Mm,
And my oldest actually ended up in and out of children's for about 3 years. It's
mm,
still a thing.
mm,
Funny how your throat goes. And I was called to kind of activate my abilities again.
mm.
And also it's kind of where I found my faith because I needed something greater than myself, greater than what humankind could actually bring in.
Yeah.
And so I had to delve into the unseen and trust and tap into my own abilities. And so I started learning Reiki and then I learned hypno. And within 6 months, my oldest started getting much better. And then I was able to heal myself too, to be honest, because there was a lot of trauma that I'd gone through,
Yeah.
as most of us have, light workers, right? You
Yeah.
know, we
Right.
all come with that backstory.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I've been doing it since 2011 and well over 10,000 healings. 2017, I became a teacher. So I started actually helping others because I noticed once they went through the trauma, they needed to learn, okay, what am I supposed to do with this wisdom?
Mm.
And so I started activating other healers and gratefully hundreds. I don't think I've hit quite thousands yet of healers as well. So I'm an activator as well and pretty much enjoy my day every single day. I really feel like I'm living on purpose now.
Yeah,
So that's intentionally and purposely every day.
yeah, yeah. Amazing. So, I think so your story about your son, I think a lot of in fact, I had a client today who's older, well, it's an older son. He didn't live with her anymore, but knowing that her child is going through struggles and that can be really obviously like the biggest heartbreak for a parent, right, is to watch your child suffer and as they get older, it can be a little more challenging. I'm curious for you, like what helped you to stay strong through that experience? And, you know, how old was your child at the time when he was, or you were going through
So he
that?
was teenage.
Yeah.
He was in grade six when we were really losing the battle.
Hmm.
Um, Now he's 24,
Yeah.
and an amazing human. Was always an amazing human, just more challenges. But we have a lot of diversion, a lot of mental wellness that we work with in our entire family.
Yeah.
Um, how do I how do I keep the lights on? Personal practice.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think I learned like as mothers, we always want to put everybody else first. But one of the best things I did was learn to put myself first. Because if I don't have it in me, I can't help anybody. And
Right.
if I'm having a bad day, everybody's having a bad
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
So if things are tricky around here or sticky or everybody's having a little bit of a day, the best thing I can do is stay grounded, stay centered, stay in my joy. And then I may not be able to necessarily transform them, but I'm going to lead the energy in a better place than if I lose it too. And we all go down the dark road together,
Yeah.
which has happened because I'm human, right? So, I learned
Right.
that the hard way. So, yeah. A big part in the beginning was learning to be centered and grounded in myself, right? So the best thing I did, I don't know if you're familiar with Reiki principles, but
Hmm.
it's just for today. I will not worry. I will not be angry. I will be so grateful. I will work with integrity and I will be kind to myself and all living things. And
Hmm.
I would say those probably about 50 times a day.
Hmm.
And then I would probably try to practice it, right? So when you're
Hmm.
saying just for today, I won't be angry, that means you cannot scream at people in traffic.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah. Right.
You can't forget the dishes aren't done because you just said, just for today, I will not be angry.
Yeah.
So yeah, part of a lot of how I help people is taking care of myself first, which is kind of a whole new thing for us, right? As women, we weren't given permission to do that.
Yeah. No, we're always taught to put other people first. I mean, I remember even, I think I was 3. It was like my 3-year-old birthday, and I remember, the group of kids, and my mom had bought these little Sesame Street finger puppets, and they were in a basket, and then these were like the free gifts that all kids were gonna get, right? And thinking it was my birthday, I thought, oh, I get to pick first, right? And I remember going to reach for the basket to pick my little Sesame Street puppet.
Yeah.
My mom's like, no, 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 you're the last one to receive. I was like, and I just remember going like, but I thought it was my birthday. Oh, okay, I guess I'm last. And that, made such an impact. I mean, it's so interesting, right? We get these memories and these images get locked into our brain. And so
Yeah, and
interesting,
that statement, you're the last one to receive that. I mean,
right?
honestly, regulated to receive is about that because we need to shift that. So talk about
Yeah,
divine connection here, right?
yeah,
Yeah, the last one to receive. That's a shift that we can now change. And you know what? It served our mothers, it served our grandmothers, but it doesn't serve us.
yeah,
So it's understanding that doesn't fit with us anymore. That doesn't that's just doesn't fit with the times.
yeah,
And when we can take care of ourselves, we can we can do so much more once we learn to take care of ourselves. So if
Yeah.
that's really your goal, you want to create a huge impact in the world, that's amazing. But fill your cup first.
Yeah. So I'm curious, do you work mostly with women or is it kind of balanced
Yes.
or
No,
mostly
mostly
women?
with women. I
Yeah.
have some very brave men that are waking up and that
Yeah.
are willing to go through the trials and tributes that are Teresa's training, because I make them work for it for sure. But I think that's just time. But there's a lot more men waking up now. A lot more men that are understanding that, this emotional intelligence and stuff. My husband and I work together for retreats and stuff, so
Mm.
that's really amazing.
Mm.
So, but yeah, my priority is women.
Yeah. And so what do you see in working with women? What are some of what are the most common themes that you see showing up for
So I work
women
with
now?
women with really big trauma pasts,
Hmm.
that have gone through a lot of things. And
Hmm.
most of them are absolute miracles that they're still walking around and they're still able to smile.
Yeah.
Because most people wouldn't understand their stories that they've even gone through because they're so good at hiding it.
Hmm.
Because they've hidden it for so long just so they could survive. Right. So that's a common thing right now that I work with. And then just allowing them to kind of let that go, detach the emotions from it. Sometimes yucks are just yucks. There's no good reason for it, but it's formed you to the human that you are now. And what are we going to do with it? What are you going to do now moving forward?
Yeah. What, and so when it comes to empowerment, women's empowerment, the healing work, when you work within the quantum, I'm curious about that because it seems to me that in the realm of the quantum, the way I see it, it's really imagination.
I would say
Like,
it's unseen. I don't think it's imagination.
hmm.
To say it's imagination would mean that these traumas that feel like happened yesterday, that's not true, but that is very true.
Hmm.
So there's a quantum experiment called the split theory. Are you
Hmm.
aware of this?
Hmm.
Right. So they put a laser through these holes. They measured it and it behaved this way. Then when they looked at it, it behaved differently.
Hmm. Hmm.
So basically, the best way to describe it is as we look at these things together, we can then help them start behave differently. So it's not about reliving the past. It's about observing it and then disconnecting the emotional charge.
Hmm. Yeah, and I guess what I meant is that because we have the capacity to create images, right?
Yeah.
So so and I guess for me when I think about like Rudolf Steiner, for example, like he was always really stressing the importance of imagination and keeping that faculty exercised really and alive, right? So I guess the power of the imagination, if we can see something, like you're saying, like we can observe something and we create an image for ourselves. Let's say our life looks this way, but we really want it to experience life some other way. And we create the way that we want to experience life, and we create that image and we feel it, see it,
Yeah.
then that's what makes the reality shift and change. Is that your experience
Um,
or?
yeah, I think it's a little bit more complicated than that. But really, what the first step happens is we shift our perspective around it. Right. So if we're looking for a life that is always set out to trigger us, or we think, shitty happens, things happen to me. As soon as I get something big, something bad happens.
Mm,
Right.
mhm, mhm,
Then in an incident that occurs, you're like, oh, see, I see that's the bad thing. That's the bad thing. So now I can
yeah,
relax.
uh-huh,
But if you're also a person who's done the healing and you're like, you know what? No, now it's time for me to enjoy my life, then that thing happens and it's like, oh, okay, you know what? Now I've learned new skills. So that doesn't have to be a bad thing. I now have all these new skills so I can deal with it in a bigger way.
mhm,
Right. So
mhm,
same thing, same situation, but what's shifted is the perspective and how we're receiving it.
right, right,
Um, right. So I don't think that's an imagination thing.
mm,
Right.
mhm,
So yes, our imagination plays a huge role in seeing things could be different, seeing the possibilities. Um, but I think treasures happen when we start shifting the perspective and actually understanding that everything is happening for us
Right.
and with
Looking at it,
us.
right. Looking at it from a different angle.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so that's kind of what I help women do because we shift the perspective on the past so then we can shift the perspective on the future.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. It's kind of like I remember reading a post. It was kind of like think of oftentimes when people have had trauma and they look to their past, they'll say, "Oh, well, it's because that, and that I'm stuck in this, right? This
Hmm.
particular thing." Okay, well, what if you listed all those things like, well, if it wasn't for this happening, then this wouldn't have happened. If this hadn't happened, then this wouldn't have happened, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So then you, like you said, then you see like, oh yeah, like everything is a gift. Everything that has happened in the past has brought me to this moment now,
Yeah.
and all the gratitude that I feel for where I am now, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's why we work backwards. So if in this moment you
Yeah.
don't adore yourself, we figure out how we can adore yourself now. So then all of those pieces can fit together in a way that support that.
Yeah.
But like with my kid, like I mean, he's amazing at saying he's happy he went through that because it made us stronger and like
Hmm.
incredible. But literally, I would not have woken up my gifts if it wasn't for him.
Right. Right.
So if we didn't go through that time in our life, and I'm talking on my knees praying,
Right.
I would not have helped the tens of thousands I've helped,
Yeah.
right? Like our
Right.
darkest days create our biggest lights.
Yeah.
So I can't stop that in somebody, but I can help them see it and then let the things go that just sometimes just don't make sense, right? Because
Mhm.
there's some things that there just doesn't seem to be a good reason for it.
Right.
And that's okay. We
Right.
could just say that was shitty and we're done. Sorry, a
Yeah, and we're
lot of
done. No,
swearing
you're
on that.
fine. You're fine. It's okay.
But we're done.
Don't
We're
worry.
done. That's the most important thing. But it's done.
It's
So it
done.
doesn't need to keep infecting your future. It doesn't need to keep shifting the way you're perceiving the world, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to keep looking for ways to protect yourself because you're safe now.
Yeah. So speaking about the future, let's get into the fire horse energy, because I don't know why, but it just seems to before this year and maybe last year, the Chinese astrology was never anything I paid attention to.
I totally agree. It has
Why
only
is the
come into our
fire horse?
consciousness lately.
Yeah, why is suddenly the snake and the fire horse now it's like, oh, this is what we should be focusing on? Like, what's going on? Like, what do you see happening? I mean, I'm nothing against it, but I just find it curious.
So I think it's ancient wisdom coming to modern times, part of it.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
think we're expanding as a consciousness. So it's not that it wasn't there before. It wasn't in our peripheral.
Mhm.
I do think it started with the wood dragon, though.
Mm.
So some of us were already kind of tapping into this a year before. And then we had the snake compounded with a year ending. So we were in a 9 as well.
Mm.
So it was that shedding and ending that made it unmistakable,
Mm.
right? Like it was like you cannot ignore this factor of the collective energy anymore.
And what
So
year was
then
that? The wooden dragon, what year was that?
was the year before.
Oh,
So
okay.
we just left the snake. The year before was the wooden dragon.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And the fact that the elements are coming into is very interesting,
Yeah.
right? It also used to be snake, rabbit. There was no elemental piece. So
Hmm.
now we have the extra layer of the elements, which is very interesting.
Hmm.
And it's only been the fire horse since the eclipse kind of came into notice. So before it was the year of the horse, and then I was watching as then everybody's like, and now it's the fire horse, and then oh my god, and we have a new moon, and so we're noticing these layers of energy that are actually happening.
Yeah. Yeah, and I find that people are turning more and more to astrology. I think is super
They're looking to the
fascinating.
stars, right?
Yeah,
They're looking for
it's like,
direction.
well, yeah, because I think part of it is that right now just feels so wild and, you know, can be
What can we
overwhelming.
grab onto? Yeah,
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 it's like, okay,
yeah.
none of this is making sense. Okay, you know what? Astrology makes a lot of sense right now. It's
Right,
helping me to put
exactly.
it into a context
Box.
that I'm
A
like,
nice
okay,
safe
I
little
can
box.
understand it. Now, because the stars are explaining it, I
Yeah.
I can accept it, or I can kind of go with the flow, it maybe. Yeah.
I also think that we're now having bigger conversations and stuff that was maybe kept in the closet and not at the forefront. Like, I mean, podcasts like yourself were not as popular, right? So the women that did talk about astrology and stuff, that was like on a sideshow kind of
Yeah.
carnival idea.
Yeah.
Where I mean, maybe you read your horoscope in the Sunday papers, but
Right.
now we've got this whole like kind of idea that people are talking about the eclipse energy and they are
Yeah.
talking about the new moon something, and they are talking that Chinese New Year is a thing. Right. So that's also like a little bit of exposure. And anytime you have an energy that gets feedback, good or bad, it gets bigger. Right. So the more people that are feeding this energy, the bigger it gets.
Yeah. It's so interesting.
And I love
Where
it.
our attention goes, it's like
Energy
the
flows, the attention goes. Yeah.
well, it's like the have you ever seen that one viral video? I've brought it up a couple times, but the naked man dance. Not he wasn't naked, but he was shirtless and shorts, and he's on this big concert arena out on the grass by himself, dancing crazily, just not caring, just all out dancing. And then little by little, you'll see, okay, here comes one person, and then another, and then suddenly it turns into this huge mob.
Yeah.
Um, and so I just find it really interesting now with yeah, with social media and ideas getting put out there, how something can, when something new is coming in, like at
Mm.
first it's just like, yeah, you are the lone person dancing all by
Yeah.
yourself, and then
I've been the
and then
lone
it
person for a long time.
right? And then it catches on and catches on, and suddenly there's like
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
huge wave. So yeah, one thing I have noticed this winter especially, time is I mean, time is already moving fast, but suddenly, like now it feels like even faster to me. And I don't know if that's just me personally,
That's the
but
horse energy. You're
yeah.
already tapping into horse sun. So the horse has the chance to gallop away with us if we don't find our own rhythm.
Mm,
So it's very vital this year to find our own rhythm and pace.
okay.
Yeah. 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 So some of us will chase it initially, but we'll burn out too quick. I just taught a class last night on how to live in alignment this year, not burnout. Because if you're trying to keep up with the energy, it's not going to last very long. Because this is a full 12 months. And so we need to learn to find our own pace. We need to learn to rest, to receive, to regenerate, to reset, to understand the value of actually the pause.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter how quick everything feels. If in this moment I need a minute, take it.
Yeah.
So it's about learning your own personal rhythm too.
Yeah. And so would you say though that one of the beneficial things about the fire horse, yes, we have to regulate and make sure we're taking space for ourselves, but would you say that now is the year of like, okay, that thing that you've been working on is
Yeah, yeah.
finally going to
Action
grow
for
cold?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the wind beneath your wings, which it's really cool because I yesterday I had a really, really spiritually fantastic day. I started my day with leading a channeled group in the morning. I ended it with teaching 20 plus women online about how to stay in alignment this year. And because the fire energy we've only ever seen before is the phoenix. So that's kind of like burn it all down and then the rebirth.
Hmm.
It's a little bit different for us here
Hmm.
because it's not a burn it down energy. It's actually a follow your passion, follow your inspiration. Um, so it's the fire, the magic without the destruction. And I think for a lot of us, it's going to take a minute, but it's going to really, really land. And those things that maybe you've been procrastinating for a bit or you've been thinking of, I think they're going to start to come into the 3D world
Hmm.
because you have this extra support happening that forward momentum feels like the natural.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe the year before, since it was all about shedding, um, I noticed for a lot of people that that business and sales really slowed down, you know?
That's that bullshit story you can probably let go of now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but it
So
was interesting.
my word of the
I
year.
definitely noticed that a lot of people were saying, "Yeah, I'm just nothing selling." And then, coming around the corner of the new year and coming into the fire horse, it's like, okay, there it is. It's coming. Like,
So the point of the slowdown was not for them to sit and say, "Oh my God, my business is slow."
hmm
The intention was, what do you need to release? What
Yeah.
do you need to pivot? What area do you need to expand in? Because if you just were like, "Oh, it's just not working," you were supposed to shed it. So
Mm,
last year was a shedding year. So my clients that ran into that, we redesigned, we shed, we got rid of the stuff that wasn't working because now in this action year, they're just building the foundation we already built, right? This is a good building year.
hmm
So yes, business shifted last year. I agree. Did
hmm
it slow down though? Not for the people that were able to pivot,
Right. Interesting. Yeah. hmm
right? So we also have to watch when we're talking collective consciousness, what stream of collective consciousness are we believing? Are we believing that everybody's in a recession, or are we believing that we need to find the need within? See a need,
Mm-hmm.
fill a need, right?
hmm
And
Right.
how long are we staying in lack before we realize, hey, wait, I could do this instead?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
pivot was a
interesting.
big, big
Yeah,
piece
no,
of my
because
year last year too.
for sure, I definitely took a big pivot as well last year.
Yeah, yeah,
And it
yeah,
was
yeah,
like, it's like, okay, you know what? I think people forget, when it comes to entrepreneurship, maybe we can talk about this,
yeah,
um, is that you do kind of have to listen. What is the need? What are people wanting right now?
yeah.
And if you're not tuning into that, you could be trying to sell pink lemons all day, but if nobody wants one,
Yeah,
nobody's gonna
and this
buy
is
it,
where I think, yeah, I think impact is going to take the forefront this year, right? Because yeah, cash is lovely. I adore cash. I want cash in my life. But my focus this year is impact. So when I can see where I can be most impactful,
Mm,
the cash will follow,
mm,
right? So if you're just chasing the dollar, it's gonna land hollow
mhm,
because people are done with that,
mhm,
right? They're done with the buying from corporates and conglomerates and the how-tos and the 5-minute quick starts, right? People want depth, they want originality, they want authenticity, they
mhm,
want to support local, they want to know that that woman's feeding her kids and that's why she's selling the art, right?
mhm.
So it's calling entrepreneurs to a deeper level and saying, okay, yes, let's make lots of cash, but how can we also create impact in this world?
Yeah,
How can you also leave an imprint?
true. Yeah, because I feel like you're right. It's really, the way forward, the way I see it is really about connection. It's about relationship and yeah,
Yeah,
I
and how
re-
interesting. So COVID destroyed connection and relationship, which is now making us all crave it.
mhm. Yeah.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Right. It is. It is amazing. It is beautiful. I mean, there's a lot of power in that you know, I love what you said about impact because there's something that happens in the heart. It's like when you are actually creating movement that moves others, that inspires them, that helps to change their life. That's so fulfilling. But you're right. If you're chasing money is empty, that's for sure. That is for
Well,
sure.
and I think it needs to be part of the story too. I have a new book coming out soon called The Weight of Wealth. Um, but the interesting thing about my personal discovery over the last year is not just been about my soul purpose, it's about how my soul purpose affects others. And how when I actually show up as the individual I'm supposed to be, um, what that echo is, right? So if I'm playing it small, I'm not creating the echo that I came here to do.
Right. Yeah.
And that could be selling ties on the corner, right? It doesn't have to be a healing business. It's whatever your passion is right now. Whatever is your purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's kind of a really neat time to be in. We're being given this kind of permission to discover what part did we come to share with this world, and they're not all good. I mean, there's some pretty big names, big impacts and influences right now that are shaking up the stuff. They're stirring up the pot,
Yeah.
right? But they're definitely on purpose.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. 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 Interesting. Yeah, purpose is really, I think a lot of people too can sometimes confuse purpose with um, career. I mean, purpose doesn't have to be the the channel that money comes through, but I think you're right. Like we're definitely at a time where we get to we do get to be more creative, right? Like there's definitely much more of an energy, a sort of maybe rebellious or, because
Yeah,
it's like, let's break it up. Let's do something
yeah,
really different, and the kids, especially the children, are pointing us in that direction. Like the kids already see it. They're like, screw this. I'm not gonna go do that. I'm definitely not gonna go do that. You've been doing that? No thanks.
yeah.
They're really awake. And actually I was talking about this is an interesting concept too. I think that more and more we're going to be moving out more away from the strategic mind and more into receptivity, like intuition, receptivity,
I agree. I think it's going to be
flow.
vital for our survival.
Yeah.
And the new kids, you're talking about, I think neurodivergence is come to break the boxes.
Hmm.
They don't follow the rules. They don't care. My oldest is oppositional. He doesn't give a hoot,
Hmm.
right? You want to say authority? Okay, let me challenge it, right? And I had a little bit of it, but man, did he ever test me the next. That's the superpower of neurodivergent, though, right? They're not going to keep following these same boxes, and they're highly sensitive, right? Because we're going to need to be more sensitive. There's a theory that almost all of us are going to have to wake up at least our intuition, if not our psychic gifts, because we're going to have to see past all the BS that we're being fed
Hmm.
and intuitively and psychically know what is the truth.
Hmm.
So again, evolutionizing
Yeah.
the way we live,
Yeah.
right? My kids are amazing. They can tell you across the hallway if that's an AI. I'm like, are you sure this looks real? And they're like, no, mom, because they have these spidey senses, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
part of their gifts,
Yeah.
which were a little bit tricky when they were first coming here because us as parents weren't equipped really to teach them yet, right? But we're starting to wake up as well and to understand and accept and love these pieces, especially the new ones. Amazing, the new mums.
Mhm.
They're really getting it and helping these little ones grow instead of saying, no, go fit in this box, no, go to school,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I-
Totally. Totally. Like so
yeah,
many more people having home births and homeschooling and, just all natural. Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. And
yeah.
it's yeah, and just alternative schooling, we really do we really do need something different. And uh it's like why not? I mean, it'll be interesting to see in the future, like the way college works now, right? Like,
I think
what
that's definitely one of the next things that's going to be looked at.
it's
And,
going to have to change because
yeah.
it's like, why are we
Why when you can
forcing,
Google it?
yeah, why are we forcing, yeah, exactly. And why are we forcing kids to take these GEs? Like, I'm watching my kid going through it, and he's like, oh my God, like, and he's telling me I have to take this, this, and this, and this. But it's not even his bad. He could care less. It's not his bad. I'm like,
Yeah,
how is this serving him? He doesn't want
yeah.
to do it.
It's
Like,
not.
we should be just, if we would just let our kids follow their passion, follow what lights them up, you're going to create geniuses everywhere. They're going to just be free to move where they want to move and do what they want to do and create what they want to create and yeah, create a different world. But if we're constantly stuffing them into these boxes, like you must do this, it's like,
Yeah.
ugh,
So
yeah,
why don't we go first, find our own zone of genius, listen to our own
right.
intuition, find what lights us up. Why don't we go first, right?
Mhm.
Because monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah,
And if we can, again, back to self, back to, right, my kids get to watch me as an entrepreneur create wealth in my life. So they are both entrepreneurs
yeah,
because they can see that you don't need to go sit in a box. Now, my oldest has had jobs already, and now he has his own business. So he got a little bit of this and a little bit of
hmm,
that. And that's a great balance. Get a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
yeah, yeah,
Right. But we get to go first, right? And I think that's the shift that I would love to see. And it's definitely what I work with. If you change, you can't change anybody at all. It's hard enough to change ourselves. So if you can focus your attention on the making those small changes in your life, you would be really amazed at the ripple effect that happens around you.
yeah, absolutely. 100%. Yeah, it's again, it's just bringing me back to what you were saying earlier, like when we change how we perceive things, even ourselves, how are you seeing yourself? What is your, you got to shift your, that self-image, that identity,
Yeah. That's a
and
Wayne Dwyer thing. When you change the way you look at the world around you changes.
yeah,
It was one of my first core mantras, actually.
nice.
It's one of the ones that got me, that held me
Yeah,
when I was first becoming spiritual,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I love the ones that came before us.
For sure, for sure. And it's true. We are, I mean, each generation is paving the way for the one that's coming next. And I was just having a conversation with another woman who was a little bit older than me. I'm in my 50s, and she, we're seeing how the younger generation of women are much more are freer a lot of ways, just in the expression of their sensuality, sexuality, the how they lead, how they do things in general. Like, and she's like, yeah, well, we paved the way by moving through a lot of pain, so
Oh, yeah,
so that
yeah.
they could have what they have now,
Yes.
and a big wake up call for us as women, I think, is important. Is it wasn't that long ago that women didn't have a whole lot of rights,
Oh, yeah,
right? It's pretty recent that
yeah.
we've been given the, liberties to be able to move freely throughout the world, to have money, to have businesses, to be in positions of leadership. And so, it's
And that's not around the entire world either. Like if
oh,
we're honest about it, that is just we're still a small percentage. So the ones that do have this, what are we going to do with it?
mm,
Right? How can we? Because there is a lot of that still. And we can, you know, create movements to help that, but we can also enjoy this impact that we have to pave the way for the next,
mhm,
right? And yeah, and it was a very short time ago, which also says to me how powerful energy is. It's like
yeah,
our technology. Look at how fast it's happened because it doubles and then doubles and then doubles and then doubles that and then doubles that. So we can do that as well.
yeah,
The divine feminine is definitely taking the forefront,
yeah,
and we're ready to lead. We're ready to connect. We're ready to not be competition for each other.
yeah,
We're ready to actually support each other now.
yeah, yeah. And the world of healing, or the industry, that's not the right
Yeah.
word, but I can't think of any other word.
Vibration. Let's
But
call it
yeah,
vibration.
vibration of healing. Yeah, this just that there's just so much that we're discovering. Like there is a plethora of information, of new modalities, of understanding how our nervous system works, the brain works, of understanding generational trauma. Like like it's massive. And
Yeah.
then we're just getting started. And it's like, oh my gosh, like imagine if we just if this keeps, like you said, exponentially growing and expanding,
Yeah.
things, I guess, the message is like, even though the world seems like, oh my gosh, it's crazy and it's falling apart. And I hear that a lot from certain people, like, oh, I'm just overwhelmed and life is hard. And it's like, trust me, it's gonna get better. You know, it's,
Or,
you know,
or let's shift the perspective. The world is crazy and falling apart, and all these systems and all this bullshit and all the illusions and all the darkness are being brought up so
yeah.
they can now be dissipated.
Hmm.
So it can now dissolve, and we get to be part of this beautiful transformation.
Yeah.
And we get to choose if today I'm going to bring some light points or am I going to bring some woe is me points.
Yeah.
And
We get to
that's
really, yeah, it's a blank
because the
canvas.
power of the people is very real. Right now, sitting in your living room, it is very real. You have an incredible impact because of your audience, but just a regular, everyday girl sitting there saying, today I'm going to choose me and I'm going to take care of me, that is putting good points in the world. That is
Hmm.
putting that vibration in the world.
Totally, 100%. And speaking of the quantum, the discoveries that, Vita Austin, for example, is seeing about the consciousness of water. And man, think about that. It's like, boom, there
Well,
you
let's think
have,
about that. Let's talk about
right?
that for a minute. How much of you is made of water?
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And water's all around us. I mean, you can speak through the ether, and that information is being broadcast out and being picked up by other bodies of water. And
Yeah.
here you are. I mean, and it's so inspiring to me. Actually, I had a friend that told me, she says, I had two cats and I just could not get them to drink their water for the life of me. And she was watching Vita Austin's videos, I guess, and she said, I started blessing the water. I started praying over the water. She says, now they can't get enough of it. They're just drinking it like crazy. And I'm just like, wow, that is so cool. Like, that's so amazing. And so, you know,
See that
um,
real world. So I have a lot of clients that come that don't, I'll offer them a glass of water and they're like, I don't drink water. I'm like, well, you drink it here. But my water literally exists in a crystal store. So then they have that glass and then, they're like, actually, can I get another one? Because it's different, right? They're coming from a house that maybe has a lot of like loud noises, a lot of depth, a lot of like heavy stuff. And then they come here where it's light and intentional and literally surrounded by crystals. And next thing you know, that is also being infused with their body.
mhm,
So it's a very real thing. I can actually see it in real time here.
mm,
So it's
yeah,
very cool when you can see these experiments and then kind of like test them out for yourself. And it's like, oh, wait, that's actually an individual thing too.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, very cool. So how can, what do you have going on now, like in your business, as far as, the classes you're teaching, different opportunities where people can work with you?
Okay, so I'm just waking up a platform on School, Skool,
Mhm.
because Blended Spirit Academy should be on School. And that is it's a safe space to kind of like talk energy, ask questions. There's like every week I do a card for people. There's a monthly energy reading. There's a bunch of classes. I just did the Fire Horse class yesterday. There's
Mhm.
also like shadow and self stuff. Um, have like a whole bunch of resources on there. So you can find me on School, or I also have Conscious Creators on Facebook. That's a free group that you can tap into. And again, just kind of be in the vibration. And then I do a lot of in person and online. I have an entire online academy. But you can find what's going on through those two places if you like.
Yeah,
So this year is really about creating like safe spaces for people to dip a toe, figure things out, ask questions,
yeah,
like often it's like, I'm not sure if I'm crazy, but, or I feel kind of crazy. And so
yeah. Nice.
this happened. So
Yeah,
I'm a safe resource for that. So,
yeah,
and I love talking all things energy,
yeah.
um, or science.
Beautiful. Amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Love it. Yeah, it definitely community helps. Got to build it, for sure.
Well, there's such a beautiful power in numbers, right?
Hmm.
And we're really great at getting together and doing the gossip and the bitchins. It's time to also get those. It almost feels like sewing circles, to be honest, right? Old school kind of sewing circles
Yeah.
where we're back together and we're creating together and
Yeah.
we're sharing our dreams and we're sharing our possibilities. And um, I just did one on Valentine's Day for protection and boundaries, and we colored and
Nice.
we made shields and then we did a little spell on the back and then we laminated them. And it was very, very lifting. So it was not really Valentine's Day, but it was very appropriate for everybody to wake up their heart and their connections. So
Yeah.
that's something that I do.
Awesome. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Teresa, thank you so much for being here. And so, yeah, everyone, please be sure to check her out,
Hmm.
blended-spirit.com, and check out her book, Regulated to Receive. So, yeah, thank you so much, Teresa, for your
Yeah, you're
time.
welcome. There's a ways you can work with me right on my website, and there's a free 15-minute chat if you want to just like ask me a question or right, do a little energy assessment. Or yeah, whatever. I'm available. 15 minutes.
Awesome. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you,
everybody.
Tanya.
Yeah, until then, everybody be well.